Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt, I am the American Gamer, and you know what we haven't done for a little while? A Halo 5 wishlist video. So that's what we're doing today, and today I want to talk about the possible return of equipment in Halo 5. Now, Halo 3 did add the equipment as we all know and love. You know, it had the bubble shield, the regen field, and a lot of other really neat stuff that they threw into the game that I really missed in Halo Reach and Halo 4. Yeah, they added the armor abilities, but I kind of feel like there was this void that was left by the lack of equipment because they were such an interesting mix to the gameplay. They weren't consistent like armor abilities. They were kind of this wild card that would be kind of not so much unexpected. Like, you expected them to be there because they were on the map, but you didn't know when they were going to come into play. They were kind of an expected wild card, if that makes any kind of sense. And I really missed them in the most recent Halo games because they're so much fun to use. And I know a couple of them were rolled into armor abilities, but I personally think that was the wrong direction for the game to take. So first off, I want to talk about a couple pieces of equipment that I think should come back that were in Halo 4 somewhat, and that is the regeneration field and the auto sentry. Now, both of these were equipment in Halo 3. The regen field, I think, needs to be equipment. I do not think it should be an armor ability, not because I think it's overpowered as an armor ability, but because I think it's actually underpowered as an armor ability. I think it's actually a really bad armor ability because the regen that it gives you isn't really worth anything. Yeah, it helps you here and there, but it doesn't help you as consistently as a lot of the other armor abilities do. It's a lot more situational and a lot less reliable than the one in Halo 3 was. I think if they made it equipment, then if they made it equipment again, then it could be buffed up to how it was in Halo 3, and it would be something that you would actually have to worry about. It would be something where if someone throws out, it's like, oh crap, they threw out a regen field, I'm not going to be able to kill them, I gotta destroy the regen field, I gotta back up, I gotta chuck nades, I gotta do something to take out that regeneration field. But it's not something that you're going to see spammed because you have to pick it up off the map and you have to fight for it. So I think making the regen field an actual piece of equipment that'll be on the battlefield will be much better than actually making it an armor ability. And I also think that would be better in the single player too, because you could pick up the regen field and then use your armor ability like jetpack or whatever you have and throw out a regen field as you need it. And the same thing pretty much goes for the auto sentry. I think the auto sentry is really underpowered as an armor ability because it has to be. If they made the auto sentry or regen field armor abilities any more powerful than they currently are, they would be too good. They would not be able to use them. It'd be like the drop shield from Halo Reach all over again. You just can't do that. So I think making the auto sentry something you have to pick up off the battlefield would be a much better way to approach it, because then you could actually make it a viable threat. When I see someone throw an auto sentry in Halo 4, I ignore it. I don't care. They took the time to throw up an auto sentry, I'll just kill them, and when they go, whatever, their auto sentry, it's gone too. I don't really care about that. But if it was a piece of equipment, it could be more powerful, and it would still be there after the Spartan that deployed it dies. And that makes it a much more significant threat, and it could be a much more strategic piece of equipment that you could throw into a doorway to hold back, you know, Flood in the Flood game type, to help defend an objective. It would have a much greater degree of application, and it would be a much bigger threat. As I keep mentioning, it needs to be something important. I think if you can use something that's supposed to be an obstacle for the enemy team, and it's not an obstacle for the enemy team, then you need to find a way to make it an obstacle if it's designed to be that way. Otherwise, it's just a thing that's in the game, and it's not any fun. I don't think the auto sentry, as it currently is in Halo 4, is any fun whatsoever, and I think if they buffed it and made it equipment that you have to pick up off the battlefield, then I think it would be pretty fun. I personally think that would be a better way to do it. So let's talk about other equipment that could kind of be added and brought back from the previous Halo games. Let's actually talk about the ones that could be brought back from Halo 3. Pretty much all of them. The flare, I would love to see the flare come back. It was such a trolly piece of equipment, so you could just kind of throw it and blind everybody. I mean, yeah, maybe not put it in every map, but definitely at least have it for custom games and single player, a big old flashbang to use. I think that's pretty fun. Bring back the trip mine. The trip mine, you could maybe stick it onto walls now, change it to where you can use it more like a proximity mine. throw it down, and then you can help defend objectives and, you know, tight choke points with it. You can take out vehicles with it. I think the trip mine has been really missed in the most recent Halo games. You could bring back the radar jammer so that it's not part of the active camouflage armor ability anymore. The radar jammer could actually have some use, and don't make it a ball like it was previously. Make it like an actual thing on a stand or something that sticks to walls, because people were just jumping on it and getting to areas they weren't supposed to. So don't make it that little stupid ball thing. Make it like a disc that you kind of throw, like a bouncing Betty from Call of Duty. You kind of throw that disc across the field, and it kind of lands wherever you want it, and it creates a, you know, a radar jamming effect. That was the word I was looking for. Also, I would love to see the power drain come back. I think the power drain was an excellent piece of equipment that just drained shields, it EMP'd vehicles, and I think it could also disable equipment and maybe even disable armor abilities. That could be a nice little buff to it. I mean, the power drain, I think, was just a nice, fun piece of equipment that should come back. That was a really fun thing. I have fond memories of throwing power drains into groups of guys and then throwing a grenade right after it and getting, like, you know, triple or overkills because everyone was bunched up near this power drain. And lastly, I think the bubble shield definitely needs to come back. That was a fan favorite from Halo 3, the bubble shield, and then it was overpowered as an armor ability in Halo Reach, so they had to remove it. The bubble shield is really, really cool, and I am so sad that it's not in Halo, because Halo is the first game I personally remember implementing that into multiplayer. There may have been other games before it, but I just don't know of them. But the bubble shield, seeing it for the first time and then having to interact with it, oh, that's so much fun, and I'm really sad that they don't have it, because it's just such a nice way to throw up a defensive barrier between you and the enemy team, or in single player, it's a nice just last-minute fallback to survive, or if the enemy, you know, the brutes or elites threw it down, it was always a problem. You know, that's something that I really want to see come back. The bubble shield, I think, should make a big return. Now, I usually like to take a moment in these kind of videos to talk about the kind of things I'd like to see added to the game, but really, I personally cannot think of any equipment that I would like to see added that hasn't already been in Halo 3 or anywhere else in the Halo series, because I think they've already done a really good job with it. I think they've already established a really good mix of equipment in Halo 3, and I think if they just pretty much brought back Halo 3's equipment and kind of stuck it into Halo 5, I think it would work out really well. Now, maybe there's some other things that they might think of that will change things up, or maybe they'll modify some of the equipment from Halo 3 to change it around, like the more energy a power drain absorbs, it explodes with greater force. I don't know, there could be all sorts of things they could do with it, but maybe you can think of something. Let me know if there's any kind of equipment you'd like to see added to the game, because I personally can't think of anything. Okay, now the last thing that we should talk about is why they should bring back equipment. What is the reason that equipment should make a return in Halo 5? And personally, I think it's because we need more things to fight over in Halo right now. Like Halo Reach, they added armor abilities, but you still had all sorts of power weapons and everything else on the map to worry about. Halo 4, not so much, because you spawned with pretty much everything you needed, and yeah, there's the occasional rocket launcher, sniper rifle, shotgun, but for the most part, you're pretty much using what you spawn with, and you're not really worried about contesting a lot of the big power weapons like you were in previous Halos. So I think we need more things to fight over. We need more things to focus around. I think, you know, throwing a bubble shield and a regen field onto a Halo 4 map, like think of Abandon. Let's use Abandon for example. Imagine Abandon having a bubble shield or regen field that you could drop in the upper section, like a Halo 3 regen field. Not a Halo 4 regen field, a regen field that's actually worth something. You know, imagine that being plopped down up at the top of Abandon. Or, you know, somebody throwing a trip mine in there somewhere, or a radar jammer. You know, imagine what that could do. Or somebody that's actually in that top center section throwing a flare out into the middle of the map to blind everybody that's putting fire on them. I really think that having the equipment gives you something else to fight over and makes the matches a bit more dynamic, and also, like, to take Abandon back into example, what are the things people fight over on that map? You have 2 sniper rifle spawns and an overshield. That's not a lot to really worry about and control, and that's really easy to lose control of all 3 of those. It's really easy for one team to get a sniper and then the overshield, and then take the momentum. But if you could possibly grab a bubble shield or a regen field instead of the overshield, it gives you little bit of a chance to fight back against that early momentum, and it also forces a team to split their resources a bit more. And I think adding equipment overall would be healthy to the experience in Halo 5, and they could add all sorts of things for single-player custom games and multiplayer, and it's something really easy to balance, because if something's really broken on a map, you just take it out, and you put something else back in its place. It ain't that big of a deal. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I don't really have anything else to say about this. Like I said, if you have any ideas for equipment, leave them down in the comment section below, because I really want to see if there's maybe something that would be really cool down there, because, you know, some people just think of these awesome ideas out of nowhere. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt, and I'll see you next time.